He became known as the saddest cat on the internet. This weak little cat had been given up on by shelters, but a caring couple decided to take him in for what they thought would be his final days. They had no idea that just 1 hour after bringing him home, they would see something incredible happen. In April 2016, someone found an orange tabby cat in Vancouver's downtown east side. They later named him Benjamin Button, or Ben Ben for short. He wasn't the first animal rescued from this area, and he wouldn't be the last. Vancouver's downtown east side is one of the poorest neighborhoods in all of Canada. Sadly, homeless animals like Ben Ben often starve or die from illness because of the terrible conditions there. When an SPCA officer finally came across the cat, Ben Ben's condition wasn't just bad. It was awful. He was barely hanging on to life. It took just one quick look to know things were really serious. Leaving Ben Ben there would have meant certain death, and that just wasn't an option. Without thinking twice, the officer picked him up and rushed to the only place he could think of: the Vancouver Animal Emergency and Referral Center. A team of professionals quickly got to work on the orange kitten, doing their best to figure out and treat all his many injuries. That's when they discovered just how bad Ben Ben's condition really was. Even though he wasn't even a year old, he had already experienced the worst of what the world could offer. He was starving. His spine was badly crushed and twisted, making it impossible for him to move. Several bones in his neck had fused together, which stopped him from turning his head comfortably. He had deep wounds and cuts that were badly infected, showing he'd been attacked by a large animal. The team also found a terrible ear mite problem. Ben Ben had scratched his ear so much that it was now deformed from scar tissue, giving him his signature cauliflower ear. They gave him IV fluids and treated his wounds, but the team could only try to make him as comfortable as possible under the circumstances. The next morning, Ben Ben was moved to the BCS-PCA hospital. Staff there continued watching and treating him for the next 10 days. During this time, several people showed interest in adopting him, but they all backed out when they learned about his high-maintenance medical needs. One time, a family actually adopted Ben Ben but soon brought him back to the shelter for exactly these reasons. After he was returned, the shelter decided he couldn't be adopted. The veterinarians caring for him said he'd never walk again and would need pain medicine for the rest of his life. His quality of life was already getting worse, and they didn't have the resources to keep treating him long-term. Though it broke their hearts, the shelter decided to put him to sleep. Ben Ben was scheduled to be euthanized on May 1st, 2016, not even having reached his first birthday. Hospital staff said that Ben Ben had completely given up. It was almost like he knew his day was coming. In a heartbreaking surrender to despair, he had stopped eating and drinking entirely, his body shutting down as his spirit withdrew from a world that had shown him only cruelty. What little movement he once had was now gone. It was only a matter of time before Ben Ben's sad fate would become reality. The threat of being put down cast a dark shadow over the kitten's fragile life. With each passing moment, his despair grew heavier. But just when all hope seemed lost, fate stepped in through a veterinary technician named Sandy Windover. Her decision to care for Ben Ben would completely change the story of his life. Sandy was no stranger to adoption, especially cats with special needs. She had devoted her life to animal welfare through her education, training, and years of experience. Working at the Vancouver Animal Emergency and Referral Center, she had seen many cases, each with its own challenges and heartbreak. But nothing could have prepared her for how severe and emotionally deep Ben Ben's situation was. When Ben Ben came through her emergency clinic, one look at the tabby's face was all it took for Sandy's heart to melt. Right then, she knew this would be more than just another case. She went home and told her boyfriend, now husband, Adam Tutt, about the cat who had stolen her heart. "All I could think was that I had to bring him home," she said. After Ben was transferred to the animal hospital, she couldn't help herself and kept checking on his health and adoption status. When Sandy learned about the planned euthanasia, she saw it as a sign. Adopting Ben became something she had to do. Racing to the SPCA less than 24 hours before the scheduled euthanasia, the couple faced warnings about Ben's terrible condition. But they were determined to give him a second chance at life, no matter what challenges or costs they might face. "We decided to adopt him because he's just a baby, and we believe even if animals are broken or not normal, they deserve a second chance and a loving home," Sandy explained. That very day, despite uncertainties but driven by faith, they managed to get everything done and brought Ben home. They carefully set him up in their bathroom, giving him a chance to adjust to their other two cats who would soon become his family. They had no idea that in just 1 hour, everything would change in ways they never could have imagined. Even with his injuries, permanent paralysis, bone infection, and constant pain, Ben was instantly full of purrs, smiles, and cuddles. For the first time in his short life, he was home, finally safe in the arms of loving caregivers who already shared their hearts with 2 other cats. We sat down with him for about an hour, and he was instantly full of purrs, smiles, and thank you cuddles, Sandy recalled. Ben is like the younger brother. He wants to play and chase them. It became clear that Ben was just as determined as his owners to get better. But no one, not Sandy, not Adam, not the veterinarians who had written him off, could have prepared for what happened next. The transformation didn't happen overnight. At first, the contrast was heartbreaking. This was the same cat who had barely moved at the shelter, who wouldn't eat or drink, who had given up so completely that staff said it was almost as if he knew he was going to die and had just given up hope. His spine had been crushed in 5 or 6 places. Every medical expert had declared with certainty he would never walk again. But just a few days into his stay, the impossible began to unfold. When they first brought him home, he could barely take a couple of steps without needing a break or falling over. Yet something deep within Ben refused to accept defeat. Then came the moment that would forever be etched into Sandy and Adam's hearts. The first time they witnessed true progress. In a moment of pure determination, the paralyzed kitten took his first real steps. The silence in the room was deafening as they watched in disbelief. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. At first, his steps were stiff, wobbly, and shaky, but that didn't stop him. His tiny body trembled with the monumental effort, each step a defiant act against fate itself. Because of his spinal injuries, Ben's walk was more of a wobble, but his parents were transfixed, witnessing what could only be described as a miracle unfolding before their eyes. The vet said he would never walk again, and yet there he was, actively fighting to prove them wrong. Adam whispered, his voice thick with emotion. But Ben wasn't finished defying expectations. Gradually, he began to walk longer distances, and then, incredibly, to everyone's complete amazement, Ben somehow threw in a few small jumps as well. It didn't take long before he realized that he was safe, Adam recalled. Then we were greeted with purrs, licks, and head bops. Time seemed to stand still as Sandy and Adam stood frozen, tears streaming down their faces, as Ben, broken but unbroken, battered but not beaten, slowly got to work exceeding every expectation and proving every BCSPCA veterinary technician wrong. In that sacred moment, they weren't just watching a cat learn to walk, They were witnessing the birth of hope itself, one wobbling, determined step at a time. But the road to recovery was far from easy. The reality of caring for Ben hit them immediately. He was on 4 different liquid meds, including morphine, all which had to be administering orally twice a day, Adam recalled. Every morning and evening became a careful ritual of medications, each one essential to managing his crushing pain. Even basic needs became monumental challenges. He couldn't use our litter box because he was too tall, and he often fell over or sat right in his business, so there was a fair bit of cleaning. We had to buy a smaller litter box. Even then we had to cut much of it away just so he could have easier access to it, Adam explained. Every aspect of normal cat life had to be reimagined for their broken boy, but with each passing day, through the medications and the mess, through the falls and the struggles, something miraculous was happening. Ben was growing stronger, happier, and more excited about what life had to offer. During recovery, there were evenings when Sandy and Adam would sit by Ben's side, speaking softly to him. They'd pet his orange fur, feeling his purrs grow stronger each day. For months, they lined their apartment with yoga mats to help the tabby move and recover. We had to line our place with yoga mats so he could walk without falling over, Sandy explained. Ben's journey became proof of what's possible when you don't give up. Their apartment echoed with the sounds of small victories. His daily routine turned into a series of tiny wins. Each step, no matter how shaky, was a way of fighting back against the odds. Amazed by his progress, Sandy and Adam continued to give him unwavering support. The once fragile orange cat became a sign of hope, proving that even when facing impossible challenges, a determined spirit could rewrite destiny. As time passed, Sandy and Adam witnessed a miracle. The couple had never come across a cat as tough and determined as Ben. Within a few months, the once paralyzed kitten was walking longer distances, playing with his cat siblings, and showcasing remarkable stability on his feet. But the most breathtaking moment was yet to come. The day Sandy and Adam first witnessed Ben run will forever remain burned in their memory. After months of tentative steps and careful wobbles, Ben suddenly broke into what could only be called a run, though, like everything about his recovery, it defied conventional expectations. When he runs, you kind of see him wobble like an old cat, Sandy would later explain with wonder in her voice. Actually, that's why we called him Ben, because he's like Benjamin Button, an old cat's walk in a young kitten's body. But there he was, the supposedly unadoptable cat with a crushed spine, not just running, but embodying pure joy in motion. His gait was unsteady, his form imperfect, but his spirit was unstoppable. And then, in a moment that left Sandy and Adam speechless, Ben launched himself into the air. He was jumping short distances. The same kitten who veterinarians said would never walk was now running and jumping with the determination of someone who had faced death and chosen life instead. By the end of the year, the saddest cat on the internet had become a ball of joy. Ben had the ability not just to walk, but run and even jump short distances. As Ben's strength grew, so did his playful nature. There were mornings filled with the happy sound of cat toys rolling across the floor. Ben's once motionless body was now jumping around with new energy. Sandy and Adam would smile watching him chase feather toys and stuffed mice, his determination showing in each playful leap. But it was his bond with Adam that truly melted hearts. Ben loves Adam. He cuddles with him and plays and follows him around like a puppy, Sandy observed with wonder. The connection between the broken cat and the man who saved him had become unbreakable. He was always playful and looking for the next chance to steal a few kisses, or, even better, a few treats. Among his favorite activities was something completely unexpected: truck rides. He absolutely loves going for a drive. He falls asleep and purrs and looks out the window at everything. Sandy marveled at how this once dying cat now embraced every moment of life. No one who knew him before could believe his progress and transformation. These achievements made Ben Ben a beloved internet sensation. People still recognize him by his sad face, crumpled ear, and downturned eyes. But underneath, he is the happiest, most well-fed kitty in the world. With Ben Ben's amazing transformation story begging to be shared, Adam made a fateful decision. He posted side-by-side before and after photos of the resilient orange cat on Reddit, images that showed the dramatic journey from death's door to vibrant life. To his complete shock, the post exploded across the internet. The world didn't just notice, they were captivated. Ben Ben quickly amassed more than 38,000 followers on Instagram and over 11,000 fans on Facebook. He even got his own subreddit on Reddit, where thousands more followed his every move. "We had a feeling that he might get a little bit of attention, but we didn't expect this," Adam said, stunned by what followed. The world had fallen in love with Ben Ben's story of transformation from a treat-chomping, tablet game-playing, night-walk-loving house cat who proved that miracles do happen. Ben Ben may have had to overcome a long treatment for his bone infection and will need morphine for the rest of his life for his crushed spine, but his recovery has surprised and inspired everyone he's met. Sandy and Adam haven't just sat on Ben Ben's newfound internet fame. Instead, they started a fundraising campaign for other struggling stray animals needing help. Their GoFundMe campaign has raised over $11,400, money that goes directly to helping cats just like Ben Ben who need a second chance. Unfortunately, the BCSPCA don't have a lot of funding to help strays that come through their building. "So, we thought we could help other cats just like Ben Ben," Sandy said. The cause of Ben Ben's shocking injuries is still a mystery. The theory is that he was attacked by a larger animal, possibly a dog. Still, whatever the cause, it's the result that has touched and moved thousands of people around the world. Yet against all odds, today Benjamin, now 8 years old, has not only survived his hardships but is enjoying life again. He spends his free time eating cheese, watching TV, and living as happily as can be. Sandy and Adam have used Ben Ben's newfound fame to speak out against animal cruelty and raise money for other shelter animals in need. The couple hopes that Ben Ben's story will inspire people to choose adoption and serve as a living reminder that a second chance can bring a lifetime of love and happiness. Ben Ben's moving story is a heartwarming reminder that love can truly conquer all, and proof that we can all be reborn if we're just given a second chance to shine. Did you enjoy this story? If you saw a severely injured cat that everyone said would never walk again, would you take him home anyway? Let us know in the comments below. If you like the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Love can heal what medicine cannot. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.